Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. So today, I thought I would do something a little different, at least for me. It was inspired by Jeanette over at Jane Reads and book lover Amanda at book lover Amanda. And they recently just did a shelf spotlight tour with books with one-word titles. That got me thinking, and it appears that I only have 3 physical books with one-word titles. That's kind of a boring shelf spotlight tour. So, as I was sitting here thinking, I realized I have a lot of historical fiction. What if I did a shelf spotlight tour by historical period? Time frame? No year bracketing on the time frame. Just, this is what's sitting on my shelf in a broad category. And so that's what we're going to do today. And first up, I thought I would do my historical fiction set in the ancient world. And the reason this one came up is on my 2023 Protagonist Pub personal reading challenge. I will link the video in the description down below. I have 2 geographical challenges. The first, geographical wrong. 1 geographical, 1 time frame. My time frame challenge this year was to read, I don't know what has Fireball all upset. Read a book set in the ancient world. So, I went through my shelves yesterday and I pulled all my ancient world physical copies. These are books I own. It turns out, looking at the stack, I haven't read a single one of these. I have read from every author but the first book I'm going to talk about. So I'm confident on the other books. And the first book I'm going to talk about was recommended by the Brothers Gwyn, who I will link down below. She is the heroine in this series, is one of my favorite historical figures from this era of history. So I have very high hopes for this book. I'm just currently not in the mood to read it. And that would be Bodica, Dreaming the Eagle by Manda Scott. And it obviously, the heroine is Bodica from Irish history. And this is 700 plus pages of, okay, the index is a little flushes it out. Just under 700 pages when you skip the notes and the index and stuff. But it is dense text, so it's not, big text you're going to fly through. And I really, really, really want to read this. My brain is not in the mood for historical fiction right now, or at least nothing big and chunky. Next up is Circe by Madeline Miller. This is only going to be my second Madeline Miller book. I read Song of Achilles. I thought it was okay. I didn't think Song of Achilles was all that great, to be honest. It didn't move me emotionally. It wasn't the be-all, end-all of ancient Greek historical fiction. So we will see what Circe has to offer. If I don't love Circe, it may be the last chance for Madeline Miller. We will see how I feel about Circe if I read it. Next up is The Valley of Horses by Jean M. Auel. This is book 2 in the, I can't remember what the name of the series. It's the Clan of the, or it's children's series. It is, Clan of the Cave Bear is the first book, which I read when it came out, which was eons ago. Literally, it was eons ago. This one was published in 1982. I think I read Clan of the Cave Bear when it was 82. I would have been freshman in high school. Yeah, I probably read it around that time frame. I really enjoyed Clan of the Cave Bear. It was, if you haven't read it and you're interested in a fictional series set in prehistory, Neanderthals, I highly recommend it. The books are thick, they are daunting, but it was a fascinating read, and I am looking forward to the Valley of Horses. It's the cover itself. This is the back cover. Is beautiful. There's no. I love that they just left the artwork with no blurb in the back. Yeah. Maybe this winter. So the last 2 books are by Margaret George. If you watched my historical fiction recommendation video, I will link it down below. You will know that I recommended Margaret George. In that video, I talk about how she writes in all different phases of history. And the 2 books I'm going to show you prove that. The first would be the Memoirs of Cleopatra. Trying not to get a glare. This was in my anticipated 5-star reads for the second quarter. I will link that video down below in the description as well. And as you can see, I am currently on page 21. I don't think I'm going to get this read by the end of the month. I have enjoyed those first 21 pages, but I am in a little bit of a reading slump, and this isn't taking me out of it, unfortunately. And reading slump really isn't the right word. I'm just kind of pulled in other directions at the moment. However, this starts off strong. It starts off with Cleopatra as a small child, and it will be as excellent as everything else I've ever read by her, but I have to be in the mood to sit down and slog through this. So, slog. Again, you can tell I'm not in the mood for a big fat book right now, which is very weird for me. So, we will see. The next one is probably the most recent. Yeah, the most recent book set in the ancient world. And this one just barely makes that cusp. It's Mary Called Magdalene by Margaret George. And I think it has a beautiful cover. And I will read you the inside blurb for this one. Mary Magdalene, the beloved disciple and companion of Jesus, the woman with the alabaster jar, has had a mystique since her name first appeared in the Gospel of Mark. The references to Mary Magdalene are tantalizingly brief, yet she continues to spark controversy, curiosity, and veneration. We know more about her than many of Christ's male disciples, and her significance is enshrined in her ancient honorific Apostle to the Apostles. Even so, as a woman, she remains in shadow. Was she a prostitute, a female divinity figure, a church leader, or all of those? Who was she? Can we ever know? Hallmarked by best-selling author Margaret George's dazzling mix of history and creativity, Mary Called Magdalene is George's most ambitious work yet. Brilliantly grounded in both biblical and secular historical research, it depicts Mary of Magdala as the first 100 years of the first millennium, even as it peels away layers of legend. Here, George vividly recreates the childhood and adolescence of an ordinary girl and shows her growing into a real-life woman who undergoes a remarkable spiritual transformation. Testaments, letters, and narrative convincingly capture Mary's immediate and moving voice as she becomes part of the circle of disciples and comes to grips with the divine. For a woman who couldn't even be a disciple, she came a very long way. Ultimately, Mary called Magdalene transcends both history and fiction to become the diary of a soul, tracing a journey that is always personal but also universal. Her story is that of a journey of faith. And in that way, Mary called Magdalene is every woman. And I just realized if I'm going to include that one, I need to include 2 other Margaret George books. They are right here. This is a trilogy. I don't yet have the 3rd one. The first one is Confessions of Young Nero. And the second is The Splendor of Before the Dark. I believe this one is book 2. Pretty sure. So I need to get the 3rd book. As you can tell in this video, there are 4 books by Margaret George. I cannot recommend her books enough. She is captivatingly brilliant, and don't take the fact that I'm having trouble starting Cleopatra as a reflection on the book. It is a reflection on me at the moment. I think it has more to do with the fact that I've been giving myself piles of possibilities and anticipated 5-star reads, and for a mood reader, that kind of kills the vibe. So we shall see. So that is a tour of my shelf for the ancient world. I will do another one. I will pick another time frame in history and pull all the books on my shelf that fit that time frame. I hope you have found something new or inspired you to read something in the ancient world. And I look forward to your comments down below. Please like and subscribe. And I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.